Today we're diving into the story of a man who became a legend in his own time, Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. This is a guy who built a global drug empire and became this almost mythical figure, this ghost that nobody could touch. We're going to break down how he pulled it all off, and of course, what finally brought him down.
So to really get your head around the kind of power we're talking about, let's start near the end of his story. And let's start with a simple question. How in the world do you escape from a country's most heavily guarded, maximum security prison? It sounds like something from a movie, right? Impossible. But for El Chapo, it was just another day at the office.
And this is how he did it. It's just incredible.
July 11th, 2015. He casually walks into a shower, the one place the cameras couldn't see, and poof, he drops down into a tunnel nearly a mile long that had been built right under their noses. And get this, there was a custom-built motorcycle waiting for him on a rail system ready to whisk him away to a construction site. This wasn't just an escape, it was a multi-million-dollar engineering project.
But here's the thing. The guy with the power to build a tunnel under a prison wasn't born some kind of criminal mastermind. To really understand him, you have to rewind, all the way back to his childhood in the mountains of Sinaloa. Joaquín Guzmán Loera was born into a really tough life. We're talking extreme poverty. His father was a cattle rancher, but also reportedly abusive. So this kid was determined to find a way out. And by the time he was just 15, he'd already started his own marijuana business. The ambition was there from the very beginning.
And it was back in those early days that he got that nickname, the one the whole world would come to know, El Chapo. It's pretty straightforward, really. In Spanish, it just means shorty.
And they weren't kidding. He was only 5'6". And that's what's so wild about his story. This guy, nicknamed Shorty, would go on to cast one of the largest shadows in modern history. That contrast is everything.
So how did Shorty build this massive empire? Well, he didn't operate like a common street thug. No way. He thought like the CEO of a major corporation. And he was absolutely obsessed with innovation and efficiency. His whole business philosophy could be boiled down to one word: speed. That was it. While his rivals were clumsy and slow, El Chapo's operation was a well-oiled machine. And if you were late with a delivery, well, let's just say it wasn't tolerated. In fact, it could get you killed. So how did he get that speed? Tunnels. This was his signature move. But we're not talking about simple holes in the ground. These were masterpieces of engineering, stretching across the border, complete with electric lights, ventilation, drainage systems, and even rail tracks. It was a revolution in trafficking, and it put him miles ahead of everyone else.
Now, all that innovation and ruthlessness made him a huge target. And after he was captured for the first time in 1993, his story took another turn. This is when the legend of El Chapo, the ghost who simply could not be caged, was truly born.
Think about this. He gets sent to a maximum security prison, and what happens? He basically takes it over. Through an insane network of bribes, he turned his cell block into his personal headquarters. He was still running the cartel, having visitors, even throwing parties. Prison walls meant nothing to him.
And this table just lays it out perfectly. In 2001, he escapes in a laundry cart, probably with the help of a few bribes, and stays on the run for 13 years. By 2015, he's graduated to a custom-engineered tunnel. The sheer escalation of his methods is just staggering.
And during those 13 years as a fugitive, his power just skyrocketed. By 2009, Forbes magazine put his net worth at over $1 billion. $1 billion! They even listed him as one of the most powerful people on the entire planet. He wasn't just a drug lord, he was the CEO of a global corporation.
But you know how these stories often go. With immense power comes immense ego. The man who thought he was untouchable became obsessed with his own myth, and that obsession, that ego, would be the very thing that led to his downfall.
So what was his fatal mistake? Vanity. He wanted a movie made about his life. And that desire led him to set up a secret meeting in the jungle with actors Sean Penn and Kate Del Castillo. The movie never happened, but that meeting, it put a giant flashing dot on the map for intelligence agencies. It was exactly what they needed. And look how quickly it all unraveled after that. October 2015, he has the meeting. Just a few months later, January 2016, authorities raid his safe house. He manages one last Houdini act, escaping through the sewers, but it doesn't last long. He's caught soon after in a stolen car. And a year after that, he's on a plane to the US. Game over. At his massive trial in New York, he was convicted on every single charge. And at his sentencing, he complained about how he was being treated, trying to paint himself as just a family man. He actually said there was no humanity in the American justice system. It was one last defiant performance.
And this slide, this says it all, doesn't it? The contrast is just unbelievable. On one side, you have the power, $1 billion, a global empire, 2 impossible prison escapes. And on the other side, his reality today, 23 hours a day, locked in a tiny concrete box in America's most secure prison, a place they call the Alcatraz of the Rockies.
So Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán is neutralized. He's locked away for good. But the Sinaloa cartel, the machine he built, is still out there, now run by his sons and his old partners. Which leaves us with one final, very big question. The king is off the board, but the kingdom remains. So what has really changed?